There are multiple avenues toward satiation for the mind, body, and soul when it comes to health and wellness altogether. However, in this video, I want to discuss why not following what the doctors were telling me and what the doctors are saying led me to a proper state of being. And there's one way to that satiation of mind, body, and soul that I want to discuss explicitly, and it's because there's an intrinsic quality to it, but I want to discuss that in a little bit here. For now, I will give you guys a backstory about when this started to happen for me, when I started to distrust the formalities and the complete infrastructure of the healthcare system altogether. And this was during the pandemic. It got to be 8 months of 2 weeks to slow the spread. And I started to realize that, wow, the entire form of what I believe to be health organizations across the world, and I'm not going to say anything in particular here, but you guys are going to catch my drift. Everything that we've been told pretty much to this point has been some form of misconception, and it seems like they are intentionally trying to misconstrue certain things about the pandemic to ensure that we do not get to make our own decisions. And then I started to think about all the other ways in which this happens, and one of those ways was also with semen retention. Growing up, I was told that by a doctor I had to bust one out at least once or twice a month just to get that replenishment of semen so I don't develop cancer. Okay, well, here I am since May of 2022 on semen retention, and basically it's abstaining from corn. I don't want to say this the particular name here on YouTube, but corn, any form of masturbation or any kind of adultery or fornication, etc., that is going to involve a release of semen intentionally and consciously. That is something that I've been retaining from and disciplining myself with. And here I am, and I'm in the best shape of my life, physically, spiritually, mentally, and financially. And even though I'm not where I want to be, I'm on a much, much, much better path than I was prior to this. Well, some other things that are going with meat. I, particular for myself, I know a lot of people out there may disagree with this, but meat and eggs have been a lifesaver for me. It's been something that I tried to be vegetarian, and I tried to be vegan at one point as well, but I tried to be vegetarian more so, and my body just wasn't responding well to it. But all of a sudden, when I incorporated meat back into my diet, things started to get well. And I can see how somebody that is a vegetarian or a vegan might say, well, you didn't let your body adjust. Okay, well, maybe true for the duration, but I'm still in the best shape of my life. That still doesn't explain how I'm still in the best shape physically, cognitively, and spiritually. And I'm following specifically the Leviticus nutrition structure from the Bible. So, do with that what you will, but I didn't need the doctors to tell me that. I needed the Bible, and I needed my own discernment. Okay. And about the 8-month mark of the pandemic is when I really started to question, like, okay, I don't know anybody that even knows anybody that has died from this pandemic. It's been 8 months, and we've been locked away. I had to take a pay cut at the time. I nearly lost my job, not because of us doing a bad job, but because, well, our clients that we had a bunch of clients all across the country. A lot were construction based or dental practices, architecture firms, that kind of a thing. And so the kinds of businesses that were closing down were hands-on, face-to-face businesses, and a lot of these businesses were deemed, what was the terminology again that they used? The government and the health organizations around the world they used. Oh, that's right. They said that we were not needed, right? We were. What exactly was that term that they described these people as? Somebody can put it down in the comments. I'm sure people will remember exactly what I'm talking about here, because this is really important to understand. When the government deems you as something that is not needed necessarily, well then who's to say that they can't go farther than that? Okay, and why is it the case that some doctors who are constantly prescribing certain things, like this is another thing that every time I went to the doctor growing up, it seemed like they wanted me to get on some kind of form of medication all the time. All the time. I saw it with my brother as well growing up. My brother was diagnosed with bipolar, even though, yeah, he was a bit of a strong-headed kid, but I didn't think he had bipolar. And that whole family structure was really dysfunctional altogether. However, that doesn't negate the fact that my brother was somebody that definitely knew who he was, but he couldn't really express himself the way that he wanted to. And so what did they do? What did the doctors do? They recommended to give him meds. And that's exactly what happened, and it made him worse. And it got really much worse for him. And the meds made him respond in a very, very negative way. And so then we have a bunch of other different things that happen, obviously with the medical system. They tell us not to fast, okay? Don't fast. Well, the Bible says that we can cast out demons and heal all manners of sickness with fasting. Okay, well then, if that's what it says in the Bible, and Jesus even talks about casting out the demons with fasting, like, why aren't we listening to that? And Jesus also said, he who needs a physician, what is the exact phrasing? I'm just recollecting this verse as I'm speaking to you, so I like to just do these kinds of videos just off the cuff, to get the most authentic version. I have an idea, I have a concept, I have a few things I might want to touch on, but that's it. And so anyway, this verse that I'm thinking of is something like, he who needs his own physician cannot enter into the kingdom of God, or something like that. So like, if you still need a physician, if you're not your own physician, then you don't really know what it's like to be spiritually whole. That's basically, if I wanted to paraphrase that correctly. Somebody can also help me be corrected in the comments there. But I also want to read something that came up in a consultation that I did last night with somebody, which was the Hippocratic Oath. And this person said that, because we were talking a little bit about health and such, and this person said that there was the Hippocratic Oath that came up, and they literally swear to gods and goddesses. And I was like, wait a second, is that true? I didn't know that. I didn't know, I knew about the Hippocratic Oath, but I didn't know that they swore to gods and goddesses. Well, sure enough. Here, I'll read you just a little bit of it. I swear, this is not me. This is literally, you can look this up. I swear by Apollo Healer, by Asclepius. Okay? And they list a bunch of different gods and goddesses, making them my witness that I will carry out according to my ability and judgment this oath that is indenture. They are literally swearing their lives to a pagan ritual. This is a pagan ritual. This Hippocratic Oath is pagan. Okay? Just leave that as it is. Then we come down. It's a pretty long oath. But then by the end of it, it says, Now if I carry out this oath and break it not, may I gain forever reputation among all men for my life and for my art. It's not in service to God. It's to serve men, quote unquote, right? For all my life, for my art. But if I break it and forswear myself, may the opposite befall me. So they are literally making deals with pagan gods and goddesses. And a lot of these doctors probably don't even know exactly what they're swearing to and what they're doing. But I mean, I've done a lot of research in the occult, even though I'm not necessarily practicing it in any way, shape, and form at all. I've done a lot of research on it because I think it's important for people that follow Christ to know about this kind of thing. And you know, the fact that they are swearing their allegiance to gods and goddesses of old, quote unquote, it demonstrates to me that these people have, this is what we are up against, what we are seeing come to life more and more each day for the people that are awake. We are witnessing a thousands of year old like pedophilia and hyper medical focused cult that is satanic in nature and pagan, trying to control the destiny of mankind while also trying to focus only on the flesh of mankind, the fleshly desires. Well, and this is exactly what happens, right? Oh, you know, I know people in my own family that got like tummy tucks, you know, because they didn't want to actually lose the weight themselves. They didn't want to have the discipline. They would rather pay tens of thousands of dollars at the time to get their tummy tucked. And then it didn't even work anyway. People are doing all these BBLs, these like liposuction or plastic surgery and such, cosmetics, always trying to change what they look like because they're so focused on the flesh. And they're not looking inward into the spirit because for them it's too hard to do so. And this is why when I stopped listening to the doctors in 2020, my life got exponentially better. Because everything up until that point I had just taken to be true because, well, they're doctors, they're experts. You know, trust the science. Oh, kind of boils my blood thinking about it in some way, shape, and form. But the consensus that I have is that going forward, the litigation of understanding just how far gone we truly are as a society and realizing what we're up against is oftentimes too much for people to bear. And so they resort to just, you know, hear no evil, see no evil, etc. And it's like, you better be careful, because if you try to tell yourself that evil doesn't exist, that's precisely when it's going to show up at your door. And you got to be mindful about that. You got to make sure that you're vetting the people. You got to be listening to your body. Okay? Don't let people, a lot of these fitness influencers and such too think that they know everything going on about the body. And it's like, they surely do know a lot. And I would much rather listen to somebody talk about nutrition who is obviously in great shape than these medical experts that don't even know which gender they are. But it's almost as if you need to become your own expert in every single field of thought and infrastructure of institutions nowadays in order to just make sure that you're listening to your body, you're doing what you need to be doing for you, because otherwise people are going to be literally controlling your destiny. And so now's the time more than ever to make your own decisions. Start fasting. I've never done more than a 48-hour fast up until this last month, and then we did 2 3-day fasts in the Regal Change Academy, and I could not believe the results. I could not even have imagined the kinds of results that I got, and I'm still getting to this day. It's like I'm still reaping the fruit of what was, and the work there. And I'm not saying that the work is justified, I'm not saying that the work saved me, but it was the suffering for something of worth is what saved me, and was able to help me understand something deeper going on, and my faith that things will be okay, and my faith in Jesus Christ, which is the way, which is the truth, which is the life. That is Jesus Christ, and it's through him that we will be saved. Well, we can also do certain things as a way to grow closer to him, and one of those things is to take care of our mind, body, and soul in the best way possible. Obviously, when Jesus says love him with all your heart, your body, and your mind, and your soul, there's a certain kind of affection and affinity that you might have developing within inside you that you don't even know is there until it is there. And it's almost like, how I don't know if anybody's gone like dinosaur bone hunting or anything like that, but it's kind of like you know that there's likely to be some kind of treasure there, some kind of archaeological treasure, but on the inside of the soul, some kind of soulful treasure there when you fast, for example, or when you're working out. Working out is another great example. I work out every day. I've heard a lot of people that say, oh, you need rest days, you need to recover. It's like, okay, yeah, you do need to recover, but I don't necessarily believe in rest days, because for me, I like being able to every single day do something physical, and it keeps me on track, it keeps me in line, and it keeps me spiritually fulfilled and satiated. So I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to advise people, even if it's just push-ups and sit-ups or a walk, go out and do something every single day. It doesn't matter, like do you have like a floor to do these push-ups on, or squats or lunges? Like, you don't need a lot of weights or anything like that. You just need to make sure that you're doing what you can. And that's all you can do at the end of the day anyway, is we can only do what we can. But these doctors and such, it's not like I don't think that there's any utility that they have, because obviously they went to school for a long time, and we need doctors. We do need them. But at this point, we need a certain kind of doctor, and that's where my expertise, I would say, comes into play, because I have the experience and the education on it, which is spiritual counseling, which involves the holistic process of healing the mind, body, and soul. And this is one of the reasons why I encourage everybody to make their own decisions, do your own research, take what these doctors, psychologists, or therapists, because a lot of these psychiatrists are just wanting to put you on medicine as well. And a lot of the therapists want to keep you in a state of depression so that you keep coming back. That's not my goal as a spiritual counselor. For my consultations, for example, I've had several people out of the now nearly 250 people around the world that I've talked to, one-on-one consultations within the last couple years. And out of all those people, there have been multiple people that continued to go either weekly or bi-weekly or monthly. And there have been, I would say, a handful of those that did so consistently and are now no longer needing to have these consultations. Why? Because they now have the tools the proper spiritual tools and understanding, or at least a way to get those resources or tools so that they can go on their own. Because that's ultimately what this is about. It's about being able to be your own physician, like Jesus talks about. You must be able to be your own physician, but it's not a bad thing to need help until that time. Okay? Because you need those spiritual tools. You need those tools because it's almost like sometimes you have a blind spot that you don't even know is a blind spot until you have that opportunity to talk with somebody. And I've noticed a lot of the times people have these spiritual knots that they just need somebody to listen to them. They don't necessarily need help as far as recommendations or advice. They just need to be heard. They just need to be listened to. They need to feel seen. Because I think that's a big thing that's missing in our society, is feeling seen and heard. But ultimately, you want to have all of these quote unquote experts. I would say use them as scales and mechanisms for advice, but not necessarily advisors altogether. Because I really don't believe that a lot of them have our best interests at heart. And especially if they're taking oaths like this pagan oath here. I mean, they're literally being consumed by personalities that embody these gods and goddesses. So you got to think about that at a deep level and really ask yourself, are these the kinds of people that you really want to listen to? And even me, don't take everything I say for just what it is at face value. Do some research on it. Do your own research. And with all that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. I thought this was a very important message to get out. I hope that this inspires you to really make your own decisions and take control of your own destiny, because that's exactly what they don't want us to have. And that's very clear going into 2025 to this day. Like, it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts, this world that we live in. And it's only getting crazier, which is interesting. It's exciting, but it's also, it's like beautifully horrifying, I would say, as well. Kind of like God himself is beautifully horrifying. Life itself is because it's part of God's creation, is in a way beautifully horrifying. So if you do want to join the Regal Change Academy, check out the free Discord that we have with some meditation guides and other kinds of resources for healing and fitness. Or you can check out the paid community. And in the paid community, there's a bunch of different classes that we have. One of the reasons that I started the academy, the Regal Change Academy, was because I realized that we need a different kind of education. We need a different kind of schooling going on. And this is exactly what we're going to be doing in Regal Change Academies. We're creating a new way to do school and a new way to think about things and to study things. And we tie in all these different other concepts and ideas, but make it into something that is biblically based. All right. So we're doing the Art of War right now as a class series. We just got done with Dante's Inferno about a month ago and did a 7 Deadly Sins class. We also have like the Nexus Attraction course. We have AI optimization, entrepreneurship, meditation workshops, etc. And then as part of the membership, there are 2 weekly Bible studies, as well as a weekly congregation where we talk about a variety of different topics. So I also want to appreciate everybody that's been moving from YouTube over to X, Rumble, and Instagram. I appreciate your guys' extra support. And with all that being said, peace be with you. Till next time.